Well,
Hello,
hello everybody.
Post-Hunt Clarity viewers.
I will start this podcast in a second because, dude, the snowmobile food. Sorry, sponsored by Blackgate. I just got trail camera pictures, and I haven't really been getting a whole lot in the last couple days. So of course it comes on, but
Yeah, we are episode 22, is it?
23. Oh yeah.
And tonight, well, I guess, or morning or afternoon, whenever you're listening to this, for Gabe and I, it's night right now. We're going to be talking about the early season, as it is September 22nd.
It's November. Yeah, we missed the rut. We missed everything. We fucking suck. We're just getting started here in two different states.
We were supposed to record last Wednesday, but I had some deer chores that had to get done, so.
200 pounds in deer chores?
Yeah. I can get into that in a bit, but actually it was 3... Hang on, I'm trying to do math. 40?
340 pounds of chores. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot to do.
Yeah.
Rucking. So we got some awesome stuff to talk about. Ben switches perspective here on deer hunting in Kentucky the last couple of weeks. I have a completely different outlook on deer hunting here in Wisconsin than I ever have before. In fact, I've only deer hunted once so far in this state. We didn't talk about my North Dakota trip. Last time we podcast was before that North Dakota trip.
Yeah, so if you want to give like a quick recap of that for our viewers, just so they kind of know what happened, just give a quick run.
Yeah, basically my suggestion is don't go hunt North Dakota early season unless you have private land and you are baiting your deer. Otherwise, your deer will live in the cornfields or wherever they're bedding until it's dark outside. And then they'll go back to bed while it's still dark outside. So basically that story is we got on public. I've never been to that spot. There's actually 4 of us out there. Caitlin came out. We hung out with her for a little bit. My buddy Hunter and Jake Anderson. Went and hunted some spots in public we'd never been to before. Found a nice 10-pointer the day before season, like at 6:30, 7:30. I don't know, it was like 40 minutes before it was end of legal light. 8:30. Out in the middle of a bean field on public, and I set a waypoint. I'm like, cool, I'm going to come hunt here tomorrow night. That's what I did. I only saw a doe, and then I sat there the next day, only saw that same doe. Nobody else was seeing any deer. The mosquitoes were as bad as they could ever fucking be. I've never seen mosquitoes like that. Like, if I don't have West Nile, I'd be shocked. And then I didn't hunt any mornings because it was so foggy out there, to the point where, like, I don't ever really get nervous driving, but it was so foggy, like, it was bad driving. Like, up until 3 hours after daylight. That's just how muggy it was. And it was hot, so ideally just wasn't super great. Nobody really saw any deer, so we came home a day early just because I'm gonna be back out there with Ben in October, and then if I shoot a deer, in Wisconsin, I got all of November and December to go make some weekend hunts in North Dakota. Once the crop fields are gone, once the temperature drops, I think it's gonna be way easier to harvest a buck over there than early season.
Yeah, so still in kind of what most people consider the early season right now. I kind of consider the early season through through the first full week in October, typically. What are kind of the strategies that you've had some good success in early season? What are some of the strategies you focus on this time of the year? And I know your perspective has changed and you're probably not hunting as much early season as you have in the past, but when you do go sit, what are you looking at? Are there certain areas you're going to, certain things with the weather you're watching for? What does that look like?
Yeah, when I used to bounce around public, you and I had this conversation last year. Like, you were a guy that typically doesn't hit the woods until October. And then I was a guy where I'm like, I kill most of my deer in the first 25 days of season, or I go tagless, right? And that's because I hunt public. I'm trying to kill deer before other people have the chance to kill deer. Down in Missouri, I think the deer held on to their summer patterns a little bit longer than they do up here, just because our weather changes a little bit sooner and whatever. This year's different because I have a lease, and the deer I want to shoot don't exist on the property I'm leasing. So I'm just not spending time in the woods. But when I hunted public, obviously I couldn't just I'm going to go after, splits or whatever. Like, I'm on public trying to have just a respectable buck walk by. So the more I'm in the woods, the more chances I have to hunt. And I don't really care about blowing up a spot because I'm not the only guy that hunts it. So typically I just find on public, because there's not really fields and managed crop fields in Wisconsin to hunt on, at least where we're at. I'd find acorn ridges, and I had really good luck last year. There was a bumper crop of acorns. Early season, typically they start dropping in September, and I would always see deer in the woods, which is completely different from most private land hunters. They love hunting, if you can hunt bean fields or food plots early season, guys are doing that. But hunting public land, you find the right producing acorn trees in respect to nearby bedding and a water source. It's game changer. Like, you'll see deer and they move, an hour or so before dark versus, a food source out in the open where they don't show up till last light or just after last light. And you're not worried about, in your scenario, right, like booting deer out on the way out of the tree stand. You can just get out clean and go from there. But I've always focused on acorn ridges, hunting in the woods, typically early season. And I'm really not bothered, at least on public, by hunting when it's hot outside. Just because, like, hey, I'm just, any opportunity I get, I'm going to take. But perspective, completely different, like I said, with this lease right now. It's hot out. I'm not seeing the deer. My cameras are quiet. Like, I could go out in the woods just to go out in the woods, and I almost did last night. But at the end of the day, like, when I truly think about it, I'm like, I would rather just sit at home and be bored than go in there and hunt deer that don't exist or mess up a spot potentially. So,
well, because when you have the luxury that you have right now, all you do is you teach deer that there's humans around. You teach them to your patterns. You just risk spooking deer or whatever it may be that isn't necessary. You're going out hunting that 1 in 1,000 chance that something unexpected walks by.
Yeah, and I don't want to do that.
And it just, in my experience, it doesn't happen. My perspective has changed a lot, kind of too, similar to you. So, like, you kind of prefaced that I was never a big early season guy, and it's just, I never really had luck with it. Like, we just kind of had the generational, like, family farm that we hunted at, or family land. And it was always just like Grandpa ran cameras in a few spots year over year on his food plots. There were never bucks around early season. So it was like, I'd always go when we'd get a cool day or whatever. But, like, I'd get 4 or 5 sits in September, but, like, just never had luck with it. And finally, like, my perspective started to shift as I got out of college and started to really learn how to hunt and stuff. And I started running my own cameras a little bit, and really at that time had the luxury to be able to hunt when I want a little bit more, at least to a certain extent. So I remember, like, fall of 2023, I put a big emphasis on, like, trying to hunt edges more. It was kind of one of the things that I had learned. If you remember that spot I shot my buck, like, there's a pretty good edge there, where a few different habitats kind of come together. And so that was kind of an early season focus, and it was really just like, only go in there when the days are right for it, because I knew I had some bucks around. If it's 80 degrees and it's been 80 degrees for the past week, why go hunt just because it's a Sunday? Like, kind of like you were saying, I'll sit at home and be bored. So that year I was really good about, like, when you get that cold front, go sit, and it paid off. That's the earliest I've ever shot a deer. That was October 3rd. Now, moving down here, honestly, my early season is like, you hear these guys like THP and stuff that are like, hunt the sign, find the hot sign, and it's like, I've just never really had luck with that. Like, I don't know, I don't stumble through the woods in September and find scrapes and stuff, you know what I mean? Or, like, a lot of super fresh rubs that look like they were made, 2 days ago and stuff like that, in the beginning of season. So mine, especially lately too, like you said, I'm learning new pieces still. I have a bunch of new permission pieces this year. I have a camera out in public. Like, mine's really just kind of learning how these deer behave around these pieces and how they move throughout them. And a lot of my early season, honestly, has still been like my preseason. Like, I've been moving cameras, scouting. Like, now I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, okay, I need to stay out of there. I'm starting to get deer pictures where I've got my cameras now. Like, got a good bead on where are going to be my top spots to sit. I don't have the bucks around that I want right now. I'm still going to hunt a bit just because I'm limited to kind of that weekend warrior a little bit right now. So I'm going to hunt when I can. But yeah, I don't know. My strategy this year has just been continuing to learn and scout almost through that.
I'm shocked when you just brought that up about not finding rubs and scrapes early season. I always find rubs in the woods. Like the morning I saw that velvet buck that I passed, which I haven't talked about yet, but I did go sit opening morning here in Wisconsin. And there was 2 bucks on that camera that were what I would consider probably shooters or possibly shooters, right? It was like, there was one that I call nuts, which is the 10-pointer that I really like. Asked Ben in July, I got a picture of that 10 and I sent it to him like, this deer's on the do not kill list because it has just such good genetics as either a 2.5 or a 3.5-year-old. Like he's a 120s, maybe low 130s, but got the potential to go boon for sure, just with the frame he's got. And then there was another deer that just had an absolute abortion for genetics, and it's just a giant 6-pointer with a G3 that's an inch long, so he's technically a 7, but he's got the frame where if he was a 10-pointer he'd be in the 140s. Just, really weird deer, right?
He's a cool buck though, and he'll be, I mean, I would respect you shooting him this year, but if you let him, if he makes it till next year, I think he'll be a good buck next year.
He would probably be the buck I hunt next year, just because he's, I think, the more mature buck on the property.
Yeah, and he's just a cool deer. He's not one of those deer that's ever going to go 160s probably, but it's kind of irrelevant. He's a cool buck. But yeah, I don't know. I just I was stumbling through the woods like around Labor Day weekend, or maybe opening weekend it was. I had to go move a camera quick. It was actually in public. And I found a rub in there that I'm like, okay, this looks like it was made in the last couple days. But I've never had a great luck finding them this time of the year. Put me in late October. I've had a lot of rubs and scrapes that I've found.
Well, I think
over the years.
everybody does. It's just weird to me that I'm just shocked, which could speak to the areas you're hunting too, right? Like what I was getting at is I sat opening morning, saw that buck, could have shot him, passed him. When on my walk out, I noticed I found 4 rubs that are brand new from obviously a different buck, because the big 7 was still in velvet, so it wasn't him rubbing on the trees. And then along the field edge, I bet I'd found 5 brand new scrapes that were opened up just on the field edge.
Really?
Not big, but I've got yay big, and I got trail camera pictures from the trail camera in the middle of the woods on the public, where I had deer there all the time. And then some of the leaves fell because we're already 50% peak color right now. It feels early. And I went a couple days without pictures, and then I got a picture of a couple small bucks, and there's leaves all over the ground. Then I got pictures of them literally digging, licking a branch, and then you just see that they kicked open a brand new scrape right in front of my trail camera. And I'm like, yeah. So they're doing it, and I'm not saying they're big bucks, but at least the young bucks that I see are sparring. The deer have rubbed their velvet off, they're starting to make rubs, their scrapes. I'm getting excited, dude. I know I'm in the money. I just need to be patient. And what's really going to kill me is that I'm probably going to be gone when I wish I was hunting.
Yeah, but I think your November there is going to be pretty sweet. I think both for the rut, but also your gun season compared to what I think gun season will be fun. Which, I mean, that's a different story for a different episode. We're talking early season tonight. But the other thing I did that we were alluding to is Gabe's kind of been on me to everybody down their baits, everybody down their baits, everybody down their baits. I think
if you
part of the
can't
reason
beat them, join them.
I think part of the reason that you're not seeing deer is everybody around you that is hunting is baiting. And I'm like, yeah, probably, but I've never really baited. It's never really been legal in Wisconsin. I think the law for a long time was put a gallon of...
It's 2 gallons.
2
in
gallons
certain counties.
Corn per, what was it, per 40 acres or something
yes,
that?
You get 1 bait pile per 40 acres, and that no more than 2 gallons.
Yeah, so I don't know, we'd always throw a little out around gun season or whatever, but finally Wednesday I kind of snapped. And I called Gabe and I'm like, I'm not seeing any deer. I have no bucks around I want to hunt. I feel like all I've done is work on my hunting stuff since I mean, literally, I started scouting in March this year. And, like, I started scouting Ohio because I thought that's where I was going to be hunting public. But still, like, I've been putting
Until the EHD killed all the deer.
yeah, I've been putting in work for 6 months, and I'm like, I don't have a buck on camera in the last month that I want to kill. Like, I don't know what to do. And so finally, I'm like, I might as well try some corn. And so I literally went to Walmart and I bought 340 pounds of corn, and I put a corn pile at one piece, I put a corn pile at another piece, and then I put a corn pile at another piece. And from a buck perspective, it hasn't shifted yet a bunch. I've got one. Gabe and I was just showing him. I've got one 9-pointer on camera that's a little spindly. He's a 2.5-year-old, but he's not on my shooter list right now. But he might be come November if he's all that's around. But it's really made me realize that there's deer around at least. Like, you know, I have one piece in particular that I always thought was going to be a sweet spot come mid to late October into November, and I really think will be, and there will be some bucks cruising in there. But I realized, like, okay, there's a lot of does in here. Like, you know, there's that nines in there. There's does at my other pieces. Like, bucks will show up. In my experience, if you have deer this time of the year, other deer that you want to hunt more will show up as the season goes on. You know,
It's kind of like Newton's fifth law with deer hunting.
Yeah, it might be October 25th. It might be November 4th. But at some point, you're going to have a few bucks cruise through. So, what else?
It's always the days that most guys are at work, which, you know, luckily for me, I think that's another reason I'm not, like, so crazy about hunting right now.
Yeah.
I've never just been in the position, right?
So that's kind of a good segue. How do you manage your sits through a long season too? Because one of the things that I feel like I do, and I'm especially trying to be conscious of right now, where it's a little easier to hunt later into the year down here, is I burn myself out every year. In Wisconsin, I did it every year. Like, you know, sitting in September, you don't have too many like hot days anymore. Like, even if it's not an optimal day to hunt, a lot of times it's like not blistering hot to sit out there. Like, it's a nice afternoon, you know what I mean? So I'd be like, oh, I'll go hunt, like, might as well. And so now I'm trying to be a lot more conscious of that. But how do you kind of manage that, especially for you who's going on some trips and stuff and you're going to be grinding?
Yeah, this is actually one of my off years. I feel like last year was a grind, and I burned, you know, damn near all my fucking tags, except my Wisconsin tags. But this year a little different. But I feel like historically, I front load my hunting season. Like, I hunt way more in September and October than I do at all in November, December. Last year was different because I took a week and a half trip to Kansas. If my dad wouldn't have came, I'd have been out there for another week still and probably missed Wisconsin's rifle season. But I still hunted a lot in November. It's just every year, I think I'm so burnt out by December that I get a glimpse of first ice the first week in December, and I'm just like, I'm gonna go ice fish. It's crazy now that you think about it. You have between 2 and 3 more weeks to hunt the month of December than you do in September for Wisconsin. But I swear to God, I'll hunt 5 times more in September than I will in December.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of over it at that point. Like, if I still have a buck tag in December, like, I think there's a good chance to kill a buck, but I just get so, I don't know, discouraged, uninvested, where I'm just like, all right, I gave it my best try, right? Like, I have 70 sits in the year. That's what I'm going to do this year. And you should do that too. Keep a calendar, and we should, like, notes. Because everybody always asks, like, oh, how many sits do you have in a year? Like, when we did those clothing interviews with you, it was how many sits in a season. And I'm trying to think, I'm like, I should really document not just days hunted, but sits. Like, morning and night are different. So come like mid-January when seasons are done, we're like, okay, how many times did we hunt? We can figure that out. Like, that'd be a good statistic, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, mine's always kind of been the same, right? Is like those 2 years I was talking about when I lived in Wisconsin post college, like, I was a little bit more picky with my sits. But, like, I remember in high school, it was like, I'm going to go hunt. Like, I'm going to go hunt after school the days I can that look okay. I'm going to hunt the weekend, absolutely. And every year come December, and I think Wisconsin's hard too, because it's like, December can be so hit or miss in my
Yep.
my limited experience hunting there, and it's a lot of times it's pretty not enjoyable to sit out there at all. Like, it's cold, it's not fun. But here I've kind of realized, like, I can put corn out late season, which might crush. Like, there is late muzzleloader down here, which is like mid-December. Like, sitting in December can be anywhere from, low 20s in the morning, upper teens here. But I mean, we might have days that are
something.
we might have days that are in the mid to upper 50s. I mean, it's hard to say. So, like, this year too, even though I'm a little bit more of a weekend warrior now, I'm trying to be like, like last weekend it was 90, and I'm like, I'm not going hunting. There's no chance. I hunted coming up on 2 weeks ago now. I hunted on a little bit warmer of a day because I was going to check a camera anyways. So I'm like, I might as well just pop in and sit while I'm here. But yeah, I'm going to limit that a little bit more. And if I have a tag in my pocket, I mean, Kentucky's a $1 state, but if I have a tag in my pocket, I'm going to try and milk it a little bit longer so that I can hunt through mid-December at least and be engaged. So,
well, your Decembers are probably a little bit easier to hunt.
Sponsored by Blackgate. I am just getting blown up, dude. I literally, I bet you.
Do you have your camera set on every hour, every day, or is it every detection?
Every detection. I might need to switch that.
I've done mine every hour. Dude, my batteries are dying so bad. Like, it's never been this bad.
You
like,
must
I
have
got another
cell service issues.
There's no there's no service on this lease at all.
So, like, I've noticed I've had this camera out, and I have good service on this one. And I've had this out since mid-July, and it hasn't died. Yeah. And so when I went in and sat yesterday, I brought a portable charger with me, and I just pulled it and charged it the entire time I sat, and then threw it back in when I was leaving.
That's smart.
But I've noticed, like, one of my mole trees I have in a spot where I don't have good service at all. It must be sitting there searching, and I moved it there last Wednesday, and it's down to 61%. And I have a battery. I don't think it's a lithium pack, but I have a battery pack in it. But
just my Pines plot camera's dead, and like my snowmobile plot camera was dead, so Dad went and sat the other night, Saturday night, at the snowmobile plot, saw $4, replaced the batteries on the trail camera, and if I'd have checked just that same day, I'd have been like, oh shit, the other camera you're gonna walk by is also dead. Like, these batteries are lasting me 30 days at a time, and I'm running lithiums, and I have the packs, and I'm a little frustrated right now because, like, last year I ran cameras on that property for 3 months at a time without changing batteries, and I changed the batteries once a season.
Yeah,
and like,
it's definitely,
like, I get I've had better service, but like, these cameras, you're right, they're sitting at between 35 and 40% signal all the time.
Yeah, it's definitely a service thing, because my other mole tree, granted, doesn't have quite as many pictures on it, but it's in a spot with better services, and it's still like at like 93% battery. So yeah, I'm gonna have to probably go sit that spot this weekend and get it charged back to full. Yeah.
No, that's what I'm dealing with, but that might make me go up. Like, I was actually going to do that tonight. I was going to drive out there and just go change the trail cam battery, and then I realized you and I were podcasting, and I'm like, you know what? I'll do it Wednesday. I got my buddy Austin Deuce has been like prolonging surgery, like not like his insurance. He's battling insurance company with having them like cover surgery that he needs. So he was supposed to get a surgery last week, and then he changed it to he was supposed to get surgery today. Well, they still won't figure it out, so he called me, and he's like, yeah, so I have this next weekend off from work, and I was supposed to be under the weather from surgery, not being able to walk, and he's like, but I'm not going to have my surgery anytime soon, so you want to, like, hang out? I was like, well, duck season opens this weekend. That's what I'm fucking excited about. Like, I went and bought a $300 shotgun last night, impulse bought some piece of shit from Turkey. It's an auto loader. I don't care, dude. I'm going to drag this thing through the mud, and it's going to be in the water. Like, as long as it doesn't jam up every time, whatever.
Yeah.
So I bought a shotgun. So he is going to come up, and we're going to duck hunt in the morning. And then I asked him, because, like, as much as, like, I want to hunt my lease and kill a deer, and I don't want, like, a bunch of smaller 2-year-old shot, there are too many damn 1.5-year-old basket bucks there. So I asked him, I was like, when's the last time you filled your tag? He's like, dude, I was just thinking about that. I haven't filled a Wisconsin tag in forever. And he's like, if I get my surgery mid-October, I'm not going to be able to hunt for the rest of the year. And I was like, so do you want to shoot a big buck or do you just want to get some meat? He's like, to be honest, I'd love to just get some meat. And I'm like, oh, baby, I got the place for you. I'm like, we're going to go to the lease. I'm going to film somebody whacking a nice 8-point basket rack. And dude, I have no problem with it. Like, I'm all for it.
If you let him kill an 8-point year and a half old, I'm going to choke.
No, there's too many of those. I'm telling you, Ben, there's 25 clones of those bucks on the price.
8-pointers?
Yes, that's amazing genetic. Yes, they're good. And 10 pointers.
You're going to let him kill one of those.
I'm going to let him kill one, yes, because we could deal with a couple less.
You're a crackhead.
Mm-mm.
I should smack you through this computer right now.
It's like, I need to call some of them off the property so I can have more does, Ben. Think about this. We talk about doe management, how people don't like to kill does, and there's too many does on the property, and that's why bucks don't like it. The property I have is complete opposite. There's not enough does, and there's too many fucking tiny bucks. Yeah, but I want some of these small bucks gone.
So hard. Your bucks are going to rut like nuts. They are.
Oh, dude, I'm going to rut so hard.
They're going to rut like crazy.
Well, that's good, but that's what I'm saying. Like, dude, if one or two of those little bucks disappeared, it would do nothing. Like, I need to call some of those things.
As those bucks get older, they're going to probably not all stay, and then pretty soon you might be wishing, I wish I didn't let him whack one of those.
I don't think I'm going to miss one buck. And that's why I'm like, I told him, I'm like, one of my up-and-comers, no. But like a 1.5-year-old, there's too many of them. Like between deer that are just going to get shot during the gun season, because it seems like people love shooting those deer anyways. I'm like, go ahead. Just shoot one. I don't care.
Or dumber.
There's no... If a 2.5-year-old or, one of my nice young 3-year-olds, no, like we're not going to do that. But if it's a 1.5-year-old, 6, 7, 8, like, I don't care.
There will never be a day where I complain that I have too many bucks around. Does, maybe. I've seen that before, but there will never be a day where I complain that I have too many bucks around.
Okay, well, there would be if you have limited food on the property. I spent all this time making food plots.
Not at all. They don't.
These bucks are... Dad sat in the food plot, 4 of these bucks out there for like 2 hours, fighting, running over all my goddamn brassicas, stomping them down into the dirt. They're destroying it, dude.
Dude, they've logged that property. There's browse in there everywhere. Not
I know
property,
there's food,
but around. There's acorns.
There's acorns up the ass.
There's crops everywhere around you. You have food in there. There's apple trees. You're not going to run out of food.
It's literally an all-you-can-eat buffet. Dude, that's why I don't know. I just love having this conversation because I've never been in a position.
If you're listening to our podcast right now and you don't have anywhere to hunt this year, reach out to Gabe because he'll just let you kill all its deer.
No, that's not what I'm getting at. I'll sell you a hunt for a couple, 1.5-year-olds, but pay for my lease. It's a good habitat.
Buffet at Gabe's.
The only problem with my place is it's not in a Buffalo County or a Trempealeau County because it's got all the makings for booners, which I need to have a conversation with the neighbor about leasing that property. So let's talk about that. I already know I need to lease neighboring property that I have permission on. There's a lot of other people that hunt it. In fact, I got a text from my lease owner
that said, "Hey, oh yeah, you went to
North Dakota. That's 5 technically. Every slash is going to count as 5. So I'm at 5, 6.
Or what are you doing for these?
I don't. It was just you go into like the symbols and then you hit the shift button and then it was like a straight line that pops up. You could do an I too. It's the same thing.
I gotcha.
But so the guy that farms the piece I lease owned that soft-sided blind. If you remember on the edge of the field, there was that faded out crappy Radix blind. I didn't know it was his because the landowner had texted me. He's like, hey, do you want to purchase this blind, from my friend? And I'm like, no, I don't want that thing. It's a piece of shit. And he's like, well, it was actually so-and-so. So I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was his blind. He's like, well, he wants to move it to the neighbor to the south. I'm like, neighbor to the... I'm like, no, that's my permission piece. Like, he has permission to hunt there too. So I'm like, all these people hunt there. And I know if I talked to the old lady, she'd be like, oh, I've never had anybody ask to pay me before. Like, but I wouldn't want to give her a number. I'd just be like, well, what's it worth to you? Because if she told me $2,000, I'd be like, throw down my card. But what I also don't want to do right now in the middle of September is start a bidding war where she would go up to like the other people that have permission and be like, well, so-and-so said he'd want to lease it. Like, what would you lease it for? And then all of a sudden it just starts an absolute fucking bidding war that I want nothing to do with.
The thing I think you might struggle with there is getting everybody out of there.
Well, and that's why I'm wondering if I should do it during season now where I don't lease this year, but like I talk to her and sign a deal starting in May where I can like then go and post on.
Even then, I think though, she's so to give everybody a little bit of a backstory. Gabe leases what 120
120
acres? 120
120.
acres. To the south, there's 40 acres of what is still in MFL through the year, right? And
yeah, until January 1st.
To the south and kind of to the east of that, basically to the south, I guess, is what, like 300 acres?
It's 340.
340.
Yeah.
That is really good.
Permission. There's just 20 other fucking people that hunt
everybody there. Yeah, it's basically a piece of public at this point. So Gabe is trying to lease it, but I think that lady is too sweet and nice, and probably $2,000 isn't, or $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 probably just isn't that much money to her. I personally, I think it's worth a try. I think she's
I have no idea.
She's not going to want to deal with having to call everybody, tell them that their permission's gone. Like, I think it's...
Well, so I had a phone call with her, and this is, I guess I could fill you in, because I called her. I wrote her a letter, asked for permission, didn't hear anything, so I called her and just said, hey, checking in to see if you got my letter. And I left her a voicemail. She called me back. She's like, sorry, I've been busy. Like, thank you so much for calling. Like, nobody does that anymore. Like, she's like, we don't even know who hunts the property because people just show up that had permission 10 years ago. She's like, so far this year, I've only had one younger college guy ask if he could go hunt. And I was like, okay. So whatever, like, respect to that dude, right? Like, he's my age, a little bit younger, but she has no idea. So I'm like, I bet if I had that conversation, I'd tell her, I'd be like, I'd post out your property so that way if people saw the posted signs, like, they would come ask. Otherwise, I'd be the one that they'd be talking to. And I really think, just from my conversations with her, that she'd be super receptive. And if I was like, hey,
I know you've talked to her a little bit about the idea.
Yeah, so I didn't necessarily bring up the leasing, but I'm like, I bet if I went and talked to her and said, like, hey, I really like this property. I know you have a bunch of people that hunt and you don't know who hunts. What would you think about, me giving you some money just so I'm the only one that has permission to hunt it? And she'd be like, I guarantee she'd be like, well, I guess I've never thought about that. And she'd be like, well, what do you think it's worth? I'm like, well, no, I mean, that's up to you. Like, what would you be okay? Like, basically, I just want to be able to hunt it with a couple of, guys that go in on this lease with me, and I'd lease it from you. But I don't want it just 1 year. I would want to lease it and have an agreement that I can have it for at least 3 years. And, I'll pay you whatever we agree on each year. And like May 1st, I'll just have it to you cash up front. And I would, because the other guy with the 40 public, that's not going to be public. He's not a deer hunter. So I already have that one in the works too.
Yeah.
But my other thing is like, I got to figure out the right people to go in it with. Like, my dad's always with me. Like, my cousins and uncles are all like, dude, like we'll lease with you. But I'm like, honestly, like, I kind of want Austin Deuce to go in with me if anybody's gonna go in with me, because I'm like, it's him and his wife. They're not gonna hunt that much, but like, I trust them and I can work with them. Like, I don't think that, like, if I let my uncles and cousins, like, I like hunting with them, but if I'm the one putting in all the work, doing the tree stands and the food plots and managing this, like, I don't want 4 people to go just blow up the woods all the time and shoot 3.5-year-old deer.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
It's having this all come together for you just makes me kind of like, shit. Like, it would still be nice to be around for that aspect.
I'd say if you'd have been around, yeah, because like, I would have managed the shot.
No questions asked, and for you and I, we would have had I mean, it's not like you wouldn't have to pick up my slack around there.
No, I think we'd have had fun and we'd have been into filming, and it really works when the guy that runs a tree stand and ground blind brand gets discounts on everything plus the food plot seed, and like, I'm vested into this, and a lot of this because I have like, I use him as a mentor, right? Like Jeff Altoff, like, I've watched how he designs properties and how he manages deer, and like, does love the grind guys, and like, I did the same damn thing with the budget I had. to this lease, and you can already see night and day. Like I've had so many people on those videos that are like, dude, those food plots look crazy. Like there's no way that was the first year. And I'm like, yeah, like I designed everything, has a method to the madness. Like, why did I put this here? Travel routes, food source, wind directions, access. Like I thought everything through, and most Wisconsinites up here, they're just like, oh, clear some land wherever it's dry, put in some clover, and call her a food plot. And it's like, no, like it's a food source, but I'm like, you blow all the deer out when you walk in. Like your wind sucks for your sit. Like just people really don't think this shit through. Like I think your uncle did or whatever, but it's like,
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what I'm working on. It's if I'm gonna have a couple of these pieces next year. A lot of them aren't. They just don't have the potential to do what you wanted to do to them. But I've got,
just because of the acreage size.
Well, and it's the acreage size, it's the terrain, it's the fact that one of the pieces has cows in it. It's the fact that the other's built into the steepest hill I've ever seen in my entire life, and then the other one's a literal farm with like hardly any trees on it. But there's one piece, and I don't know if the guy would be open to it or not, because it's kind of his little 30-acre haven too, and he's nice enough to let me hunt there, and I totally respect that. And we're kind of friends, and his buddies coming to rifle hunt it. I can't be in there during rifle season, but I kind of want to just tell him next year, like if I'm going to be hunting it, just be like, listen, like you've been nice enough to let me hunt here. I appreciate it. Just kind of want to know what you're open to. Like you got a spot back here, like if I could disc it a little, like could I plant some clover in there or something like that? Down in what I call the lower bowl. Could I shovel out a spot to put in a 50-gallon tub to put in a water hole? Like just some small stuff like that I think really could probably make a difference. The big thing for me on a lot of these spots is there's no ag. There's no big food sources around. You know what I mean? Like that lower bowl, I've got corn in there now, and then there's acorns in there, but like looking at a map around me, there's no crop fields. Nothing.
No, you're in the middle of the big woods.
The neighbor to the north doesn't hunt, which, like, great. That's one less person hunting, but she doesn't put in food. Like, the guy to the south does, but he only owns 10 acres, so I don't think he's putting in food. Like, I don't know that people are doing food plots or, so I think just marginal steps like that even might make a big difference, but
I think it would, and it would also, like, I'm dealing with on the property right now is all the food I put in over the summer didn't exist last year. So that's why there's not shooter bucks on the property, because when the bucks were on the property during the rut last year, they're like, cool, there's no food. And now I think this year's going to be different, where they're going to get to the property, they're going to be like, holy crap, like there's delicious yummies everywhere next to the bedding. Like I'm going to stay here, and then next year they're going to,
I haven't had time to make it out there yet, so I don't know the lay of the land too well, but I think that pond plot.
Yes. All of them. They're just, it's amazing, but I need to.
Since the last time I grabbed my phone. This episode went a totally different way than I think we were planning. But that's all right.
Ellie, I'll come open the jar. Just bring it in here.
I think it's been a good episode, and you're in the neck of the woods too, where like you can still lease land for a relatively good price. Like,
yeah, I got in right now at a steal, and my goal, like I said, I signed a 1 year. I'm gonna have negotiations with him honestly the next couple of weeks before Halloween that say, hey, I'm really impressed with the piece. I want to hold on to this piece. Can I sign a 3 or a 5 year agreement? Like I'll pay you more, just a little bit more, but I want a 3 year agreement at the minimum. And I think he'd be like, absolutely. Because when I lock it down for 3 plus, like ideally 5, minimum 3. If I can lock it down for 3 years, like just no stress. Like, and then if I can get this other property at what I believe is, I think, going to be a good deal, just because if you're not first, you're last, and that's Ricky Bobby's best saying. But like these people in the area yet, they're not used to leases. They're not used to people offering it. But guess what? 5 years from now, they're going to be. Somebody else will knock on their door and ask to lease that property. So I'm just like, I'm going to get in there now, have a great relationship, because they already know that I'll be a good caretaker, a good steward of their land. I'm going to treat it good. I'm going to improve the value, and, hopefully, I'm young and sweet, and they just, like a young man out there provide for his family, and they're willing to do it for a little bit cheaper than, people from the cities that would walk up there and be like, hey, we'll give you $10,000 for that property, because there are people that would.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know. I'm very open to the idea of leasing around here. My big thing is just like there's not much to lease within 30 minutes of me, really anything that I've found. And then you start bumping on 40 to 45 minutes, and I'm the only guy that I know down here that would lease it, and you start wanting to get 4 or 5 grand for 100 acres. Like that might not
Yeah, that's
sound
hard
like
for
a
you.
ton, but for one guy, that's a decent chunk of change, you know.
Well, yeah, because at that point you can spend that and go to an outfitter for 5 days and have a really good chance at shooting a nice deer, anyways. Plus,
Right.
they cook all the food for you. They hang the stands. Like they
Well,
do all the work,
the
dude.
thing
So
for
it's
me
like,
is it's not the 4 or 5 grand necessarily. Like I mean, it is. You still have to spend that, but it's like
yeah,
then you have to spend it next year. Then you have to spend it the year at. You know what I mean? It's not just a one time. Okay, I spent 5 grand and now I get to hunt here for the next however long I live here. It's I spent 5 grand and now I get to do it again next year and the year after that and the year after that. If I'm lucky enough to keep leasing. So yeah, at the prices you're paying, especially when you can find another guy or two to split them, like it's a
no,
no
and I can
brainer.
because well, I'm still here, and I think, like I said, I know what people would offer that old gal, and I know what I think I could get it for. And I'm not trying to be like stingy or anything, but like obviously, like any good consumer, you shop sales. Why pay extra for things that you don't need to pay extra to? Like, if I'm good and I don't have to start a bidding war, and I'm like, hey, like if I give you, if she takes 3 grand for it, would be an absolute steal. Like, could you imagine having 500 acres of land that costs 6 grand split between like four guys?
Yeah, that'd be stupid.
It'd be stupid. So even if it was 8 grand, that's why I told Dad. I'm like, the goal is to spend 8 grand on everything. However, we divvy that up price wise. But if it tallies up to 8 grand and we can split it between four guys, possibly five, like where it's between 1,500 and 2,000 a person, I'm down. Like, that's I don't know. I spend a lot of money on deer hunting, and I always never wanted to pay for it, but I realized like $1,500 to deer hunt for, and not just deer hunt. This could be bear hunt or turkey hunt and everything else in between. Like it's well worth it. I think so. It alleviates, if I get to manage these deer, and it's a 3 to 5 year guarantee, and I know I can grow and have the chance to by year 2 or 3 shoot a booner. Absolutely, and I think I can do it on this property. At
Well, and
least a
it's
160.
the big thing. I think gets to the point where you can chase not even a booner, but a 4.5 or a 5.5 year old every year.
Yeah, and
That's
I
when hunting gets fun.
and there's a plethora of 3.5s. And if I can lock down and kick off, because that's the thing. Like, how many of these deer are getting shot by people on the permission piece? I mean, I at least 3 or 4 in the neighbors or whatever. Like I
Well,
just took out, and sucks to suck, but I took out you know 15 potential people that are whacking deer. Like, if I
yeah,
could save 3 of the 3.5 year olds this year, and they come back, I'm gonna have deer that I'm gonna want to hunt next year, and
yeah,
those deer won't all die. Right, and then there's
right.
still 4.5 year olds that exist now, where there's a good chance there could be, at least one 5.5 year old 160, 170 caliber that even runs around next year. Like,
Yeah, and I think that 40 coming out of MFL will probably help a little bit.
yes.
That'll alleviate some of your stress.
Yeah, because then there's no public within miles, so I'd be square, and that's an early season recap.
Yep. So
So I'm gonna go. My wife is texting me asking if I can unscrew a jar lid for her
yeah, that's
because she
fine. I'm
can't
gonna watch
get.
the last episode of Your Honor before Bree gets home.